Hello, in this video we're going to demonstrate how to use ListView in JavaFX. So we're going to write a program that uses a list view that contains a list of countries that can be selected by the user, and then we're going to listen for selections in the list view and show the flags for the countries that have been selected. So with that, let's get started. By the end of this video, what we're going to have is a JavaFX window, and on the left is going to be our list view, and we're going to put it inside a ScrollPane like this, and we're going to have a list of countries in here which are selected by the user, and depending on what countries get selected by the user, we're going to display flags up here. And we're going to make it so that the user can select multiple countries, and then we'll display multiple flags in here. So let's jump over to Eclipse and get started. We will create a new Java project. And we will call this ListView Demo. And we'll add a class to this, also called ListView Demo. Alright, I'll maximize this to give us some space. And what we're going to do first, like usual when we're writing JavaFX programs, is make our class extend from application. Alright, now what we're going to do before we jump into our start method is declare a couple of arrays that we need to make this work. So we're going to have a list of countries, and we're going to store this in an array, and then we're also going to have a list of an array of image view objects that correspond to the list of countries. So let's get the names of the countries out of the way first. So we're going to have a private string array called flag titles, and we're going to initialize this array right away. So what we're going to have is Canada, China, Denmark. Let's jump over down to a new line to give us some room. France, Germany, India, Norway, United Kingdom. Oops, I need a comma on the end there. And United States of America. Okay, so that is our array of flag titles. Now what we need, oops, this is a stray closing brace there. Now what we're going to do is create another array containing image view objects corresponding to the flags of the countries that we just listed. So we're going to have another private variable, and it's going to be an image view array. We'll call this image views. And what we're going to do is right away inside our array is initialize some new image view objects. So we're going to have a new image view, and then the constructor we're going to use to image view takes in a path to an image. So image/ca.gif. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is copy and paste this just to save a little bit of writing. We need Canada, China, Denmark, France, Germany, India, Norway, United Kingdom, USA. Okay, so now I need to go ahead and update our file names. By the way, the reason this is underlined is because we don't have the import. So there we go. So we want China, Denmark, France, Germany, India, Norway, UK, and US. Now, what is this compiler error that we have? Cannot convert to from image view to image view. Well, obviously, a simple typo like that will cause a lot of compiler errors. Luckily, It's easy to fix. And we need a semicolon on the end of our closing brace there. So now we have all the local variables that we need, private member variables that we need to actually construct this application. So let's get our start method written. So the first thing we're going to do is create our list view. And so the list view object can take in a collection of things that it needs to display. So we're going to simply initialize our list view using the list of countries. So we need a list view object. These are parameterized. Yes. So our list view is going to store strings, and we'll call it LV. So we're going to initialize it with the constructor new list view. And what we need to do is create an observable array list from our array. So, oops, just dropped my stylus. Up here we have a string array. What ListView actually wants is an array list, an observable array list. So we're going to use the FX collections class, which has a bunch of static methods for dealing with this kind of thing. So what we are going to do is get an observable array list. So as you can see, creates a new observable array list that is backed by an array list, or the one that we want. We don't want an empty one. We want one that takes in a collection. So we can do this very easily. We're going to pass in our list view. Sorry, our flag titles. Getting a bit carried away. So now we have a list view object that is set to display our list of flag titles. Now again, the error here is a missing import. There we go. Okay, so next up, we're going to set the preferred size of our list view to give us enough room to display the entire country names. So lview.set preferred size, and we're going to pass in 400 by 400. Now, next up, we want to make it so the user can select multiple countries at once. By default, a list view will only allow you to select one thing, which is not what we want in this case. So we're going to change the selection mode. And the way we do that is to get the selection model from ListView, and then we set the selection mode. Now, selection mode has some static constants for us to use, and we want multiple. So now our list view supports multiple selection. Very easy to do. Next up, we're going to create a spot to display our flags, and we're going to put these inside a FlowPane, so that if we select multiple items in our list view, the FlowPane will automatically arrange them so they're laid out nicely. So, FlowPane and we'll call this image pane. What is that constructor? Anyway, so a horizontal gap and a vertical gap. So again, to give us a bit of spacing, we'll use a value of 10 for both the horizontal and vertical gap. So now that we have our image pane ready to go, we're not going to put anything into it to start with, because it will depend, what gets displayed depends on the selection in our list view. What we need to do though is get both of these, both the list view and the image pane, into a window. To do that, we're going to create a BorderPane object. Okay, so what we're going to do is have our list view displayed on the left and our image pane displayed in the middle. So we're going to set the left of our pane. However, what we want is to make this scrollable. By default, a list view isn't scrollable. So if you have more items than what can be displayed on screen, they will kind of just get lost. So what we need to do is wrap our list view inside a ScrollPane, which will automatically give us scroll bars so that we can scroll to all the items in our list view. So we're going to simply create a new ScrollPane. And inside here, the parameter we'll pass in is our list view. Okay, next up we'll set the center. And this is just going to be our image pane. Alright, so now what we'll do is set up our scene and get our primary stage displayed on the screen. So scene. And the size will be 450 by 170. Set the title. Set the scene. And show it. Okay, so now what we'll do is create our main method. And call launch. So now we have enough that we can run our program and see what happens. Or do we? Ah, yes, of course. The age-old problem of me forgetting to copy and paste these images into position. But that's okay, that's easy. Here we are, here's my Java workspace, and what we want is ListView demo. Navigate to our bin folder and paste. There we go. Now we have our image class with all of our images in there. So now, when we run our program, we won't get that exception. Instead, we get our ListView demo displayed on screen. And as you can see, the scroll bars were very important because we don't have enough room to display all of our items. However, the scroll pane makes it very easy. And again, there's also a horizontal scroll because United States of America is a long name. It doesn't fit horizontally across. However, we can make selections here. So this is just me clicking. This is me shift clicking to select multiple at once. And this is me control clicking. So we can do multiple selection, which is great. However, nothing is happening in here yet. We don't have anything listening to the selections. So let's do that now. Luckily for us, this is not particularly hard. What we're going to do is, after we've created our FlowPane, we are going to create a listener that listens to our list view, and depending on the selection, it will update what gets shown in the image pane. So the way we do this is to get our selection model from our list view. Next up, we're going to get a hold of the selected item property. And then we will add a listener to this. So when the selected item property changes, our listener will be called. So add listener, and we're going to use a lambda here. So OV, we'll call it. So that's our event. And then the little arrow symbol, and then an opening and closing block of code. What we're going to do in here is, what we have is when our listener gets called, it means the selection has changed. So the first thing we'll do is remove anything that is currently in our image pane, because we don't want the old flags to continue to be drawn. So image pane dot get children dot clear. So we're clearing the list of children that the image pane is responsible for drawing. Next up, we're going to have a loop. We need a loop because we've specified that we can allow multiple selections. So there may be more than one selected flag. So our for loop is going to look like this. We're going to have an integer, but an integer object here called I. This is kind of the new Java for loop. So we are going to get the selected indices. So the lv.getSelectionModel.get selected indices. So as you can see, this returns an observable list of all the indices that were selected. And inside here, we're going to add the corresponding flag to each of our selections. So image pane.getChildren.add, and we need to access our image views array. at index I. So what's happening in here is we have our for loop. We're using an integer object as opposed to a raw int, but that doesn't matter because Java auto boxes and unboxes these anyway. However, we're getting all the selected indices. So what this is saying is for each of the selected indices, set the index to I, and then we do this, add our flag. So with that, we can probably run our program now, and everything should be as it should be. So here's our ListView demo. Starts off exactly how it did last time. However, when I click Canada, you can see the Canadian flag appears. When I click Denmark, the flag from Denmark appears, and so on. We can use the arrow keys to go through these as well. We can shift select, and we get nothing happening? That's interesting. Shift select doesn't work, but control select does. That's okay. As you can see, as we control select to select multiple items, more flags get added to the image pane. So with that, that's it for this video. We've looked at how we can use a list view inside a ScrollPane to have selectable items. So with that, that's it. Thanks a lot.